Welcome back to another edition of the Burnout with yours truly. I got a tribute I want to do for a young man, and I'll get to it. But before I do, I want to do the quote of the day. When you depend on people to build you up, they have the same power to break you down. You do not need their validations to know your worth. I like that one just because a lot of people depend on other people's validation to make them feel good, to make them think they're worth something. And like I said, if they build you up, they know exactly how to tear you down. So you don't need people to build you up. You have to build yourself up, and you have to know your own worth. Because like I say, people are going to devalue you. They're never going to rate you where you're worth at. This young man I met a few times. But he's the father of my close friend. I consider him a brother. Freddie Sweet Papa James Jr. is what they call him. His sunrise was July the 6th, 1932. His son, he departed this world, unfortunately, June 9th, 2020. Freddie James, I met him in Baton Rouge twice that I know of, that I remember. He's like I say, he's the father of a real good friend of mine that I consider a brother to me. And when I met him, he had one of the most unique personalities I've ever seen. He smiled, and he didn't smile at the same time, if you know what I mean. But he gave it was like a warming atmosphere around. He was a military guy, as well as his son. But he was one of the most kindest men that I've met in a long time. That he spoke loud, but was very quiet. He had a big impact on Anthony James. And you can tell the impact that he had on him based on how Anthony carries himself. And when I met him, I think it was at his birthday party, if I'm not mistaken. I walked up there, shook his hand, and introduced myself. And he introduced himself, and he gave me one of the most warmest handshakes I've felt in a long time. It was a firm handshake, but it was a welcoming handshake. Like, he appreciated that I came, and he welcomed me with open arms, and I just fitted right into the whole family atmosphere. And a lot of times you don't get a lot of people that don't really know you that welcomes you that easy, that welcomes you with ease, that you feel comfortable around. And there's a lot of places I've been and met a lot of people that I didn't feel comfortable around, but Mr. Freddie James, I felt extremely comfortable around him because he made me feel that way. And those people you cherish them because they come a dime a dozen. They're not easy to locate and they're not easy to find, but it's also something that's inside of them that makes them feel that way. And I always like to say, it ain't nothing you can fake. It ain't nothing that you can pretend is out of you. It's in you or it's not. And with Mr. Freddie James Jr., it was in him. And you can tell that by the way Anthony carries himself. He carries himself similar to his father. When you are good friends with a person, you deal with what they're dealing with. When his passing came, he didn't have to ask me, was I coming? He knew I was coming. And when my brother passed, I didn't have to ask him. He automatically came. But right now we're going to highlight a father, a husband, and a good friend to those who knew him. This man would go out his way for you, as you know, as most people wouldn't. I didn't know him extremely well, but when you meet a person with that kind of personality, that kind of demeanor, that kind of aura around him, you don't need but one or two interactions to feel like, okay, I know him and I understand why everybody gravitates towards him. Because it's about the way he presents himself, the way he carries himself is a better word. And he demanded respect without saying anything because of how he carried himself. And you know, that's a hard quality to find in most people. That they carry themselves in such a way that it feels like it's just when you're around him, he takes all your burdens away and puts them on his shoulders. That is the feeling I got when I met him for the first time. I think the second time I met him, it was more of he knew who I was. And it wasn't an introduction. It was more of happy to see you again. And he was just a delightful person to be around. You can tell he was caring. You can tell that he was selfless. You can tell that he would give you the shirt off his back if you needed it. And those people are the one you want to cherish. Those people the one that you want to keep close to you, because like I say, they're not easy to find. And I said it was a dime a dozen, and I was misspoken. They are like a diamond in the rough. They are very rare. And you know, I don't talk to a lot of people when I first meet them, but something about him that just makes you feel so comfortable around him that you could actually talk to him. And you know, that's the rare part of the whole situation, is interacting with a person that makes you feel at home. And that's exactly the way he made me feel when I was over there. And you know, and the thing about it, I think I came over there, it was his birthday, like I said before. And most people who is their birthday, they're surrounded by people that the whole thing is about them. And for him to take a time out and didn't necessarily make it about him, to take time out to talk to the person he's never met before, and to have a conversation, even though that was an event in his honor that he didn't even acknowledge. He just put that to the side and said, okay, how are you doing? Where you from? Blah, blah, blah. And it just went on just a conversation. And I'm thinking, you know, these people are here for your birthday, but you're over here interacting with a stranger. But that's just how he was. And that is and like I say, it is a gift that you don't find in many people. And it's a quality that is rare, in its rarest form, that you don't see that much. And I say when I seen him both times, I never seen him hostile. I never seen him angry. I always see him in a mellow mood. Now, his kids, like James, Anthony might say, no, when he carried a big stick, he just didn't swing it that often. And now he got his daughters and sons. They might see it differently, but like I say, I only give you my perspective of what I seen when I encountered him, and that was what I've seen. I've just seen just how compassionate he was. And you know, his grandkids, he loved his grandkids. And he was just the typical granddad. You know, sometimes there aren't words to say, and there's not words that would justify. You can't uplift a person who's already as high as they can go. And it's just, I try to describe this gentleman, and I can't put in words well enough to give him the proper introduction that he deserves. And you know, it's just to the point that I know Anthony misses him, because I talk to Anthony a lot, and in his voice you can tell there's a piece of the puzzle that's missing. And you gotta know that the rest of his kids feel the same way. His grandkids feel a void, because you can't replace. There's some things that can't be replaced. No matter how hard you try, no matter how hard you try to duplicate it, replicate it, it cannot be done. And Freddie James is one of those people that cannot be duplicated, replicated. He was the original. And I see in Anthony him, because his mannerisms are the same. His conversation, you can tell when a person has been brought up right. And you can tell because Anthony has the same compassion. He has the same qualities that Mr. Freddie James Jr. had. And like I say, that's a very rare quality. And I'm sure there's not a day go by that Anthony doesn't think about him, that he doesn't reminisce about him. And nobody can make me believe that on a daily basis, Anthony does not sit there and shed a tear because of the void that's missing. That's natural. I don't know nobody who wouldn't do that. Like I say, that was a man that retired from the military, became a full-time dad after that, and he still had time to talk to somebody that he didn't know on a day that was reserved for him. That's what I remember the most. Those little things that people don't think that much of are the most important ones. Not many people are going to try to take the spotlight off them and come to talk to a person they don't know anything about. But he had no problem doing that, and that's what I remember, and that's the legacy that Mr. Freddie James Jr. left, because that is the one thing that never fades, is memories. It's never gonna fade. But we always have to thank the time that he was here, because all our time is limited. And I always say, your character is what you build daily, your legacy is what you leave. His legacy is made in stone, it's not tarnished. And everybody that he came in contact with, he left a mark. And that's something that's rare. But that's all we got for today on the burnout. I always say, always flame up, never burn out. 2 fingers. Peace.